I am still thinking of the Akita, and the scent of the burnt offering lingers. Echoes of that story resonate in this Torah portion as Isaac, Rebekah, Esau, and Jacob engage in a painful choreography that ends in tragedy. There are two sons, and, at least in the beginning, it seems as if Isaac has only one blessing to give. One child will be chosen, the other will be rejected. Just like Abraham, both sons are, in a sense, sacrificed. The family is changed forever. There are other notable linguistic cues. Rabbi Avital Hochstein notes that the language of the Akita is present in the dialogue between Isaac and Esau, echoing the brief conversation Isaac has with Abraham as they walk toward Mount Moriah. The phrases "my father," "my son," and "Hineni, I am here," which highlight the father-son bond, appear in Toldot 5 times more frequently than anywhere else in Bereshit. Esau cries out, "My father," 4 times, ending with the anguished plea, "Bless me too, my father," when he discovers his brother's deception. Sacrifice 3:11 in the end, writes Hochstein, he realizes, just as his father did, that there is no answer beyond silence. The order that Esau is crying out for is one in which fathers don't eliminate or sacrifice their children. He wants a world in which a father blesses his children, all of his children. Modern ejos of the Akita. Last week in Maker Rishon, I read an interview with Elon Dickstein, whose son, Ivri, was killed 2 weeks ago while fighting in Lebanon. Ivri, who had 5 sisters and a young wife, was an only son. Elon recounted how, on the Wednesday before he got the news, he had opened his Chumash to study the weekly Torah portion, which included the Akita. With his son at war, he instinctively told himself to turn the page. The next day, the bitter news arrived. That Shabbat, when he heard the Torah portion read in shul, his own son had already been sacrificed. Ivri had a habit of signing his letters to his father as "your only son" and to his mother as "your only son, who loves you," hauntingly echoing God's command to Abraham to take your son, your only son, whom you love. In response to Ivri's story, I could not help but think of some of the classic midrashim that link the Akita with Sarah's death. The narrative rockets us from the seemingly happy ending as Isaac is spared and Abraham passes God's test to the unexpected tragic death Sarah. In one midrashic version, Satan delivers the news that Isaac was nearly sacrificed, and Sarah dies from shock. In another, it is Isaac himself who tells his mother how his father raised a knife to him. She emits terrible cries akin to the blast of the shofar and dies. In the medieval Sefer Hayashar, the story takes a different turn. Sensing that something is wrong, Sarah spends the night with her son, embracing him and saying, "How can my soul separate from you?" She dresses him in clothes like the high priest before sending him off, actively participating in the covenantal drama. This contrasts with the traditional image of her as a passive recipient of tragic news. A mother's cry for protection in the 18th century Tehillim by Sarah Bas Tovim. Tanat were prayers that were primarily developed by Jewish women for Jewish women. Sarah is invoked to protect children. She besieges God. "We should not, Chaz Veshalom, God forbid, be left widows this year, and our children should not, Chaz Veshalom, be taken away from this world in our lifetime." Instead of using the Akita as a symbol of sacrifice, she calls on Sarah to plead with God that we not be required to make such sacrifices. One of the most powerful interpretations of Sarah's death comes from Rabbi Kalonymus Kalman Shapiro, written in the Warsaw Ghetto. That is why Moshe Rabbeinu, Moses our teacher, the trusted shepherd, placed the death of Sarah next to Akedat, the binding of Isaac, to speak good on our behalf, and to show that suffering too great to bear is beyond human capacity. If even our mother Sarah couldn't withstand such suffering, how much less can we? He wrote, and even those who survive excessive suffering have lost parts of their spirit. What difference is there between losing part of a person or all of them? Esh Kodesh, Hey Sarah. In other words, don't test us too much, God, for we may not emerge stronger. Too much suffering may not refine us. The Akita might prove unwavering faith, but it also may result in utter collapse. We may come out broken or not come out at all. Conclusion: the theme of the Akita sacrifice, father-son relationships, an irrevocable change ejo through the family dynamics of Toldot, generations, descendants. the Torah portion that immediately follows. The sense of loss and unfulfilled blessings present in the Isaac-Esau story mirror the incompleteness felt after the Akedah. The narrative is about what is sacrificed in the pursuit of God's blessing and in the aftermath, those moments that cannot be undone and lead to a complex and conflict-driven future. In many of our stories, both ancient and contemporary, the cycles of sacrifice are undeniable, yet they are not the end of the story. The Jewish people have always found ways to transform grief into strength, to continue alongside the suffering, to incorporate both Abraham's belief and Sarah's sense of loss. To end with a passage by Rabbi Abraham Kook that I quote often since that black day in October, especially at this time. When the days are short, the nights are long, and the future is unknowable, our Piliai Tohar, p. 27. The pure righteous do not complain of the dark, but increase the light. They do not complain of evil, but increase justice. They do not complain of ignorance, but increase wisdom. They do not complain of heresy, but increase faith. As we enter Kislev, a month that ends with lighting the Hanukkah, may it be a month of increasing light and diminishing darkness.